Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about this new policy from Asmodee regarding replacements and repairs and or missing pieces and how you normally get that resolved. There has been a change, so we're going to be talking about this. I have seen numerous emails, private messages, and all kinds of tagging me in this. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Yes, I've seen it. And I wanted to finally put together a video and talk about this a little bit because I think there needs to be like kind of a balanced approach to this, and I see a lot of people kind of running around like the sky is falling, and I don't believe that to be the case, and I will explain why. So before I jump too far into this, let me remind you, if you are new here, there is a new round of the giveaway still going on right now there for a $25 Amazon gift card. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment. That's as simple as that. I typically announce winners towards the end of my videos, so make sure you click that bell down there for alerts, and then you can watch videos. Watch them all the way to the end. See if you win anything. All right. That being said, we are going to talk about. So what is the change to this new policy? Well, this is basically a change to all of the Asmodee policies that were in effect before, where you could just, if you had, let's say you bought something for X-Wing and you were missing a peg, or you had a wing that was broken, or you didn't get a card, or maybe you lost a card, or whatever, you could just go and say, hey, I'm missing this. This is broken and or needs to be replaced, and you could send them a photograph, and they would send you out a new one. And by many accounts, it was by far the most customer-friendly, policy, I think, out of any company I've ever had to deal with. It was basically just snap your finger, say the word, you were getting a whole new piece. I've had numerous experiences with this policy back when it was under just Fantasy Flight Games, and then additionally once Asmodee took over, and under both companies, the program has been 100% satisfactory. I'll say 99.9% satisfactory. I am still waiting on a CR90 dial for my X-Wing Corellian Corvette. But I am told that those are still being processed and they are in the works. So they haven't forgotten. So if you are one of the people who sent in a replacement CR90 dial, fear not, they are still in the works. And that is also going to be important because it does this policy. If you already had a parts request in, you are grandfathered in, and your stuff will still be handled in the old way. So what changes now? Well, now basically the change now is that instead of just contacting Asmodee customer support whenever you have a problem with something that you purchased, what you're going to have to do now is go to the store that you purchased your item from with receipt in hand, and they will then be able to assist you. Now that is kind of a blanket statement, but as far as the way that it generally will work as far as stores are concerned and retailers, whether they're online retailers or whether they're brick and mortar retailers, is they will actually have the avenue to approach Asmodee directly, and then Asmodee will then be able to give the store replacement parts, which the store will then be able to give to you. So from a certain point of view, this is kind of creating a middleman in between you and Asmodee to get your replacement parts to you. You are still able to get replacement parts. You are still able to get missing pieces or bent pieces or things like that replaced. But I think the big change is that now you need to make sure you hold on to receipts. Make sure you open your product and make sure it is complete, and make sure everything fits. If you've got miniatures for Star Wars Legion, make sure you have all of the pieces. Make sure if you're buying something for a board game, do an inventory of your components before you throw away your receipt. If you are buying a board game, it might be a good idea to keep the receipt in the board game with the components. Always a good idea to hold on to receipts for things like that just in case from this point going forward. When do these changes go into effect? Well, they went into effect, or are in effect right now. This whole new policy is as of February 18th, 2020. So it's an immediate effect. This actually came out February 18th, 2020. So this was as of today. Of course, that was 2 days ago now. But yeah, so this was an immediate policy that went into effect right away. So if you're watching this and you've got something broken, you're not going to be able to just email AsmodeeNA or Fantasy Flight customer service or any of that. You're going to have to go to the store in which you purchased it. So that's important. So what if you purchased from an online retailer? You're going to have to contact customer support through the online retailer. Like if you went through Miniature Market, for example, or Cool Stuff, or Amazon even. If you went through Walmart or Target online, some type of brick and mortar store that also has an online store, you'll have to contact them. You can go to usually for stores like that, you can go in store, go to customer service, say, here's the problem. They have a new policy now, and they should be able to take it from there. If that store doesn't, then I believe grounds for you to contact Asmodee customer support and say, hey, Walmart won't help me. What should I do? And then move forward from there. But generally, retailers should be complying with this new policy. So if that is not the case, I think for any large or major retailer, you should have no problem. But if you have maybe a smaller retailer that maybe didn't get the memo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to this new policy in the description below so you can read the entire policy for yourself. But basically, and hopefully that will help them. And if they have questions, if retailers aren't able to help you, there are email addresses, there's contact information, basically pointing them to who to talk to and how to go about initiating all of this. And I think one of the bigger questions here is, why are they doing this? Why are they making this change? And this is one that I have to speculate on, but I'm pretty good at speculating. So I think one of the reasons, I think there's multiple reasons. I think this is a multi-part reason. And the first reason that I think that they're doing this is to cut down on abuse. And when I say abuse, I think we've gotten, and again, you're free to disagree with me here. You are free to. But I think we've gotten a little bit spoiled as consumers of goods and as customers. I think we've gotten a little bit spoiled, especially by Asmodee's amazing policies in the past, and Fantasy Flight Games' amazing, refund and replacement policies. In that, and like I'll give you one example. I had a little antenna that was broken off of a Victory Star Destroyer for Star Wars Armada at one point, and I said, it wasn't even broken. It was not in the container. And I sent a picture. I just need the little antenna, the tiny little plastic piece. They sent me a whole another Victory Star Destroyer, not the expansion pack, but just the whole ship with antenna. And the funny thing is, the second antenna on the replacement ship was actually broken too. So I was able to, but that's fine. But at the end of the day, I had a whole another Victory Star Destroyer, and so. That was awesome. It was above and beyond. And I think they went above and beyond a lot of times. There are some great stories out there. And these are good stories, but where maybe something gets stolen and they've replaced it. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but that's just that. I don't think anybody expects when somebody buys something, there shouldn't be the expectation that it automatically comes with theft replacement, and I'm not talking about the entire project, but there's something about somebody had all of their cards stolen, but had all their ships for X-Wing, and there was a case where they were sent 100% of all the card stock and cardboard that was stolen to rebuild their collection, and that's awesome, but you can't just expect that to happen all of the time, because that's going to take a toll on a company when more and more people start doing that. Another example is I've seen, for miniatures, there's lots of miniatures games. There's lots of miniatures in games under the Asmodee umbrella, whether it's, games like for X-Wing or Armada, or the games where you have to assemble stuff like Legion, or outside of Fantasy Flight, you also have new Atomic Mass games and Marvel Crisis Protocol, for example. And I've been, tied into a lot of the boards there. And there's been so many cases of somebody loses something or breaks something. It's their own fault. And then they post like, oh guys, I painted this wrong and I screwed it up and I glued the head on upside down. What do I do? And people are like, oh, just contact AsmodeeNA customer support. They'll send you a new one. And that's awesome. But at a certain point, I'm like, well, is that sustainable? Like, at a certain point, are people just going to be like, you know what? I wish I had an extra shield for Captain America so I could paint one with this color and one with that color. Let me just contact customer support. So I feel like anytime a system is that easy to get, free plastic, there's going to be people abusing it. And I'm not trying to say that I'm not calling anybody out in particular, but I would bet you there was probably a lot of cases of abuse. People asking for extra things, extra bits, extra pieces. In some cases, and especially because they're not going to just, usually, from my experience, they're not just going to send you, especially, since so many things are on sprues now, they're not going to just send you, a character's arm. They're going to give you the whole sprue. So you're getting a whole replacement miniature. And if it's a cool miniature, people can just get lots of free minis that way. And I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a flagrant abuse of this policy of people either being dishonest or it's great if somebody's just going to replace something that you broke yourself, but I don't really think that that's the standard that everybody should be beholden to. If you break something yourself, that's on you. Now, there's a huge difference if it came broken or whatever. Why I'm laying all that out is I think by forcing you to go to your retail store, I think that's going to cut down on the abuse a lot. A store is going to know, like, wait a second, wait. You were here last week and said you lost, you didn't have a Commander Cody's head in your Commander Cody box. And wait, now here again, tell me the same thing. It's, they're going to have a lot more FaceTime with you, and you're probably less likely to lie to someone's face. And it's not always about lying or whatever. Sometimes it's just abuse. Like if I feel like if you're making your local store do all that extra work and ship things back and forth, you'll probably be less likely to take advantage of a process if you're maybe somehow connected to a link in the chain because I gotta make Rob at the store do all the work and submit all the stuff for me. I feel like it's probably going to cut down on the number of replacement part, line items that get sent to AsmodeeNA. But not just abuse, but like people using the system incorrectly. Like, hey, I lost my X-wing. I lost a whole expansion because that happened to me one time. I actually lost a piece of an expansion that I bought, and I contacted AsmodeeNA saying, guys, I lost this. Can I just buy that one piece without having to buy a whole another expansion? And they sent it to me, for free. It was great. It was just a cardboard insert for an X-wing ship. But I was like, that was nice. I was willing to buy it. I mean, that's where I stand. I think some of you may disagree with that. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't do that. I think it's great that they do. But the fact that they do and they're so over the top probably, leads its way to abuse. And I feel like one of the reasons here is possibly to cut down on abuse. Other reasons are probably, to save money. If you think about shipping, I don't know what corporate shipping costs, but I would imagine, let's say, you shipped out Jedi Crabbok as a miniature, and he's got his lightsaber nunchucks, and he's awesome. And let's say they were kind of tender, and maybe 1 out of every 50 broke. And so if you send out, X thousand of them or whatever, and you've got, let's say you've got 1,000 broken miniatures out there. Well, you could ship 1,000 replacements out to individual people, or you could ship like 20 each to stores, each that has like 50 in them or something like that. My math is grossly wrong here, but my point is, by consolidating the shipment. All right, this store has 2, this store has 5. Oh, this is a big store in New York. Well, they have 20. All right, so let's gather them all up. All right, one big shipment to that store, and that's all the replacement parts that they need. One big shipment to that store. So I feel like you probably cut down on costs in that way as well, in that people don't have to wait for something in the mail. They can just go check in at their store, or their store will let them know when they have it. So there's probably that. Now, there's also rumors that, Asmodee may be looking to sell or anything like that. I don't know anything about that. There's always rumors of that. In the recent layoffs and cancellations of products that may have been not really generating a whole lot of revenue, those things all kind of lead towards that possibility. That's not necessarily a bad thing if they want to just make themselves appear more efficient and or profitable. That just means that they're going to look like a healthier company. So if they are planning to sell to somebody, it doesn't even mean that any of your games are going to stop. It just means that they're trying to, tighten things up a little bit. And I think that's one of the reasons why this may have happened too. If they are looking to sell to another company and there will be maybe new ownership or somebody else, it'll probably just be more people behind the scenes that change, that will probably be transparent to a lot of us. But if that's the case, then that might also be one of the reasons for a policy change like this, to basically say, hey, you know what, we're kind of hemorrhaging money on this department, so let's fix that. So they're not saying, so in summary here, they're not saying you can't get replacement parts anymore. They're just saying it's going to be different. Instead of just emailing them and having it sent to you with no questions asked, it's going to be a little more. You're going to have to be like, hey, let me go back up to the store. Hey guys, this was missing this, and then the store will say, okay, we'll get you that, but it's going to be maybe a week or two, and that's how long it would take anyway. So it's not really. It's slightly less convenient for the end user, because now instead of just sitting at home and just filling out an email and hitting it, pressing enter, and you're done, now you may have to actually drive up to the store. Now it depends on your store too. If your store knows you, they may take your word for it and they may just say, okay, got it. If your store doesn't know you that well, they may want to see the receipt. So I think a lot of the specifics of it is going to really boil down to between you and the store in which you bought something. Now, who is this really going to hurt? Well, this is going to hurt people who buy stuff secondhand. If you buy a used collection and it's missing stuff, that's where you're not supported. They are basically dropping support for the I bought this collection off of eBay, but it was missing the Wedge Antilles pilot card, or I bought a Legion collection at a flea market somewhere, but I don't like the pose that he glued them in, and I wanted a different arms so I could pose them differently. Sorry, they're not gonna be able to help you there. And I think that's reasonable. I think that's more in line with most manufacturers, most companies, and most policies that I'm familiar with. No, people don't really do stuff like that. Now, what I would like to see. Here's what I would like to see with this new policy moving forward. I would like to see quick service. Because sometimes things can take a long time. I've had usually quick service with most of stuff. The only thing that's taken a long time is the CR90 replacement dial. And I'm not really bent out of shape over that one because I bought both the CR90 and the conversion kit. So I do have at least one operational dial per CR90 per faction for a CR9. So even if I want to run 2, I can just run a Republic one and a Rebel one. So for me personally, I feel less impacted by that. Plus, there's also, I could use the bad dial too if I just have a printout. So I'm not in a terrible hurry for that, but it has been a couple of months, and I'd like to see the speed, the turnaround time, improved as much as possible. So when somebody does go to their store, they should hopefully have their replacement within a week. That may even mean things that they expect to be bad. They ship out some stuff to stores in advance, so the stores have maybe a limited supply on hand. I'm like, oh, were you missing a Han Solo card? Okay, well, we have 3 extra in the back. Here you go. That's a possibility too. That would help cut down on the time and the inconvenience, because that actually could be a net win. That could be an everybody wins situation, because now you would have normally had to wait like a week or two for it to get processed and mailed to you, and now you can just go pick one up at your store. Again, I don't know if they're going to do it that way. I don't think they're going to just have spare parts in every store across the globe, because that sounds like that would be kind of crazy. Unless, of course, they know problems like that in advance. Now, one of the other thing that I would like to know is how they're going to handle future large-scale problems, like an entire expansion that is printed wrong. Let's take the CR90, which I already mentioned for X-Wing, or let's say the dewback for Star Wars Legion, which, thanks to early, people noticing, that we've noticed that it was starting to ship without the right dial, or without the right base size. So I would like to see like how would they plan to do something like that, and that one is a clear, I think, example of, all right, shipping it to retailers is a much better idea. How many dewbacks did Sci-Fi City order? They ordered, 20 dewbacks. Okay, so that means they got 20 incorrect dials. Let's just send them a box. Boom. And now all of a sudden that's 20 less, or 19 less packages they have to ship out for that store. So now instead of sending, 20,000 customers 20,000 packages, they can send, 500 stores 500 packages full of all the replacement parts they need. And I feel like that's a really effective way to do this. And it might have been something like, some recent massive misprints that have kind of caused this to be the way. Now, if you buy directly from Asmodee's web store or Fantasy Flight's web store, then you can still go through customer support. Because if your purchase is directly through them, then you're still going to basically go about it the same way you used to. But I think what you'll really need to do, like, you're not going to get a receipt, but they will have your order history, so you don't really need the receipt. You can go in. As somebody who does purchase quite a bit from Asmodee, because they get your stuff a little bit early, and that's always nice. I do have an order history with them, so you could also make the case that this is an incentive for more people to order directly from Asmodee if they like the old system. They can still use the old system as long as whatever it is they want, fixed, they had bought through Asmodee, and there'll be digital records of that. And that is about it. So, yeah, I'm going to put a link again to this policy in the description. You guys can check it out. I don't think the sky is falling. I don't think it's problematic. I've seen some people posting on forums and even on message boards and Facebook about, I have something, like even just as recently as yesterday, I saw, somebody had something that broken, and they emailed Asmodee and they said, no, you have to go back to your store. They went to their store, instantly fine, no problem. They said they were going to handle it for them. So it sounds like this system is perfectly capable of working. It's just might be you're going to have to go through a different channel than you've already went through before. And some people may not be crazy about that, but I think it's done for good reasons to stop cases of abuse, and hopefully to tighten things up a little bit. And that could be a good thing. It could be. But I definitely don't think the sky is falling. It's just going to be a little bit, of an inconvenience to some folks, and I understand that. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the description below. If you are interested in checking out any of my social media, I've got links for all of that, as well as like my t-shirt shops. There's all that stuff down in the description below, as well as links to Patreon. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel, there is a link to Patreon as well. And I want to give a special shout out to my patrons. You guys are amazing. So thank you all for your continued support. I couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much. And as always, have a great day.